As you might have understood from the thumbnail of this video, we're going to talk about the topic that has been making headlines recently.
A global recession.
Recession.
The Recession 2023. A recession is a significant decline in economic activity that affects the country's overall economy, businesses, and individuals. So in this video, we will explore what a recession is, how it happens, the reasons behind the possible recession, its potential impact on the world, and what can you do to protect yourself. Before we begin, make sure to subscribe to our channel in advance because we know you're gonna enjoy this video. So let's dive into the topic, and first, let's understand what is a recession. A recession is a period of significant decline in economic activity. It's characterized by a decrease in GDP, a rise in unemployment, and drop in consumer spending. Recession is a natural part of the business cycle, and it can be caused by several factors, including changes in consumer behavior, a decrease in business investment, and changes in government policy. For example, the reason for the recession which happened in 2008 was a combination of aforementioned reasons.
The stock market is now down 21%.
It was the worst day on Wall Street since the crash of 1987.
We're down over 16%.
Vulnerabilities that developed in the financial system, along with the series of triggering events that began with the bursting of the United States housing bubble in 2005 and 2012. When housing prices fell and homeowners began to abandon their mortgages, the value of mortgage-backed securities held by investment banks declined in 2007 and 2008, causing several to collapse or be bailed out in September 2008. This 2007 and 2008 phase was called by subprime mortgage crisis. The combination of banks unable to provide funds to businesses and homeowners paying down debt rather than borrowing and spending resulted in the Great Recession that began in the US officially in December 2007, thus extending over 19 months. As with most other recessions, it appears that no known formal theoretical or empirical model was able to accurately predict the advance of this recession. Before we dive into the specifics of the possible recession in 2023, let's start with the basics. So why does a recession happen? The economy is cyclical and goes through periods of growth and contraction. During a period of expansion, businesses and consumers are optimistic about the future. However, during a recession, consumers and businesses become more cautious. This decrease in spending and investment leads to decrease in economic activity and can cause a recession. There are several signs that suggest a possible recession, including a decline in GDP growth, an increase in unemployment, and a drop in consumer confidence. Additionally, the stock market may take a hit, and businesses may decrease their investment in response to possible recession. Now that we know what a recession is and why it happens, let's take a closer look at the signs that suggest a possible recession in 2023. One of primary indicators is the inverted yield curve. When short-term interest rates exceed long-term interest rates, it's a sign that investors are worried about the future and are seeking safer long-term investments. Other indicators include a slowdown in GDP growth, an increase in unemployment, and a drop in consumer confidence. You might think why? Here is the answer. In February of 2022, this guy decided to invade Ukraine. The US and Western allies had sanctioned Russia economically and politically for invasion. Those sanctions, of course, affected on one of the most important industries of the world, oil and gas. Because Russia is the largest producer of oil and gas in the world, and when Western countries started to sanction Russia, the market started to feel shortage and the prices went up. This had affected on the petrol prices and supply across the world, and especially in developed Western countries. Keep in mind that Russia is a country that sells many natural resources to the world. Well, at least it used to be. And all of those resources were banned and sanctioned. Additionally, Ukraine was one of the largest, if not the largest, exporter of grain to the world. And due to the war and blockade of Ukrainian seaport cities by Russia, it also could not be exported to other countries, causing the shortage and increase in price. But that's not the end. Remember this guy? He keeps threatening the world with nuclear war, which is creating fear in the world as well. That includes business, government, investors, and employees. The Fed Reserve keeps printing money to support the war in Ukraine, which is causing an increase in inflation and rise in cost of living in the US. Moreover, China and Russia are starting their deal to replace the petrodollar which is even worse than the war in Ukraine for the US. But that's a topic for another video. All of this instability in the international diplomacy, and it's causing changes in financial, military, and economic policies of the US and Western countries, and because the US is still the largest economy of the world, affecting most of the countries. The impact of the recession can be severe, with many individuals and businesses feeling the effects. During a recession, unemployment rates can rise, and people may lose their jobs. Additionally, businesses may struggle to survive, and the stock market may experience significant declines. Homeowners may also face foreclosure, and many people may experience financial difficulties. So what would be the potential impact of a recession in 2023? Well, the effects would be widespread. For example, the stock market would likely take a hit, and people could lose their retirement savings. And housing market could also suffer, with many homeowners facing foreclosure. It's important to note that not all industries would be affected equally, and some could even see growth during a recession. Which countries' recession will affect? Recession does not affect all countries equally. Some countries might be affected for a short-term period only. For others, it might take a deferred effect later, and some countries might be severely affected. For example, the Great Recession in 2008 impacted most of the world's developed economies, particularly in North America, South America, and Europe, which fell into a severe, sustained recession. Many more recently developed economies suffered far less impact, particularly China, India, and Indonesia, whose economies grew substantially during this period. Similarly, Oceania suffered minimal impact, in part due to its proximity to Asian markets. However, Australia and New Zealand will be impacted by recession anyways, only partially because of the US recession and mainly because of the COVID-19 deferred effect, such as shortage of staff, inflation, high cost of living, and so on. While you cannot prevent a recession from happening, there are steps you can take to protect yourself. It's essential to create a budget and live within your means. Additionally, paying down debt and increasing your savings can help you with financial difficulties. It's also a good idea to diversify your investments and consider investing in recession-proof industries such as healthcare and utilities. Additionally, you should have a plan for case if you were to lose your job, such as having an emergency fund and brushing up on your skills. If you had an idea about creating a second source of income, now is the best time to start. And that concludes our video on possible recession in 2023. A recession can be challenging, and it's important to understand what it is and how it happens. While we cannot predict the future, it's essential to be aware of signs of possible recession and take steps to prepare. By creating a budget, paying down debt, and diversifying your investments, you can help protect yourself and your family. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed it, hit the like button and consider subscribing to our channel. By doing so, you will be motivating us to create more content, and you will also be the first to know when we upload new videos. By the way, you might like this video we created here. I'll see you in the next video.